Okay, so board member reports or board committee reports. Are there any board committees that met over the last month? Just to give you an update, the negotiations team plans to meet with teachers. Most likely we're waiting on one member to confirm dates, but it'll be the week of May 4th. And hopefully, based on the stay-at-home order, it can be a face-to-face meeting unless that's extended beyond May 4th. Okay, Joel.
Yes, several items, and most of them have already been touched upon. I think the first one was, as everyone knows, last Thursday, I believe, the governor gave the executive order that schools were to continue distance learning until the end of the school year. So for us, that really means till May 15th. I need some clarifications on that regarding the days after the 15th, as Mr. Brand had alluded to. Daycare for essential workers, is it still provided free of charge? How does that work? And the other big question that I have is, right now we're required to provide lunches. Right now, on an average day, we're feeding 275 students within the community. And I don't know if that will end on May 15th. I know that there is a waiver from the Minnesota or the statewide or National Food Service Group organization, the federal government, that we can go longer. I do believe one of the issues that we run into is for summer school, for food service, you have to have greater than 50% of your students qualifying for free or reduced lunch, and we run at 32%. So there is a little window if you're in that 30 to 50. I'm not sure where that plays out or what the directive will be. So that is one of the pieces that I'm going to follow up on to make sure that we're following the guidelines and providing meals to kids. I don't know for sure if we'll be able to staff it or how that piece will work. I haven't checked that far, but I'm hoping that we still have our conference calls every Tuesday and Thursday, late afternoon, with the Commissioner of Education, as the statewide superintendent's call. And sometimes the governor will get on there too to give us some updates. So I'm hoping to have some more information after tomorrow. Also, as the principals mentioned, May 1st and May 4th are by executive order set aside for planning for the remainder of the school year. You know, for us, it's 9 days, so it won't be quite as lengthy as some of the other things, but we've got plenty of activities for kids to do, or teachers to do. They did allude to a couple things that I think will come into play as we go forward. One of them says the expansion of school provisions for additional activities and programming the commissioner deems necessary and can be operationalized in compliance with public health guidelines. If I'm reading between the lines here, I think they're trying to set up a way for perhaps a graduation in some form. One of the pieces that I've been advocating for at the state level is, you know, not all schools are exactly the same. We have 3 seniors graduating. That's significantly different than the 400, 500, 600 kids in the metro area. So I think there should be some discrepancies within individual sized school districts to maybe give us some leeway. The last piece that I had in here, and this is the one that I think Bobby alluded to earlier, I think they're going to allow summer school to happen within the buildings and not be distance learning. In all realities, the kids that need some additional summer help are the ones that we're struggling to get a hold of right now, as far as everything we need to get to them. So I think it'd be vitally important that we have some, maybe it's blended in some form, which is a discussion that we're going to have internally. But I'm hopeful that we can have summer school within the confines of these walls in the month of July. I think another piece that we're going to be talking about probably on the May 1st and the May 4th are some what-if scenarios. What if we're not coming back this fall? What are we going to need to plan for then? I think we also need to talk about what are the needs of our students going to be coming back this fall. What are the mental health issues? What do they need academically? What do we need to bring them back up to speed? I think that those are some things that we need to give strong consideration before we open up the doors come this fall. So there's my little spiel and soapbox on the distance learning and how we're going and where I think we need to be. Couple other informational items, as was mentioned earlier. Construction's in full swing. They're getting in and cleaning up, getting after the classrooms. They're also looking to get the asbestos out of the Morristown building, so we can get that up and rolling to go into the construction. These guys are working hard. I'd also like to give a shout out to staff. We've seen this before. When the times get tough, boy, our teachers and support staff and everybody bands together, works together to get done what needs to get done. And even through all this distance learning and the trials and tribulations of the construction project, they've done magnificently. Last piece of informational item that I had is related to, we talked about teacher negotiations. One of the pieces at a major portion of the teacher contract and teacher discussions regarding salary and pay and benefits is the medical insurance. Teachers do have the ability to look elsewhere for medical insurance. Right now, as a district, we get our medical insurance through the Service Cooperative, which provides Blue Cross Blue Shield. The teachers union did take a vote. They're looking to trade providers to leave Blue Cross Blue Shield and go to PEEP, which is a statewide insurance pool. There is some, Anna Skidmore and I have had some initial discussions on how that's going to look and going to work. I'm waiting for some paperwork on her end, and then we'll go forward from there and what we need to do to look to see what we need to do to facilitate the change. And that was all.
Okay, you kind of cut out at the end for me. I didn't hear the very end of it, that you were waiting for some paperwork for.
Yeah, there's some official paperwork that I'll have to go through the appropriate channels for the transition. I don't know exactly what those are. I'm waiting for them to be provided.
So are there any questions? I was just wondering, as far as distance learning goes, one, how the meals were going. It sounded like we're serving from what we started with, so that's, I think, a positive thing. Getting enough and getting what they need. And do you have any comments about the food service part of it?
Yes, it's been working extremely well. We did receive another waiver. Initially, it was mainly intended for students on free and reduced lunch, but we have the availability now to make it open to any student who would like to come get a lunch. That's part of the reason why our numbers have increased. And I will also say that the meals that they're putting out for these kids aren't traditional ham sandwich and bag of chips. These are great school lunches that they're putting together and serving on a daily basis.
I'd like to comment on that too. I've heard really good things about the meals that have been served through families and kids. So good job.
And then my other question was related to supporting our teachers. I know we've talked about doing surveys that involve supporting our, are we supporting our students and things like that. Parents were surveyed and students have been surveyed, but I'm surveying an evaluation of do teachers have what they need to conduct the distance learning? Is their equipment sufficient? Have we done any of that type of surveying with the teachers? I'm guessing that data would be pretty important to plan.
I would say that we've done. Oh, sorry. I would say we've done informal assessments on that. We meet with our teams, grade level teams, to ensure that they have what they need.
I'd like to comment on that too. My wife, she's been calling teachers and asking them how they've been and if they need anything. I think as a community, we need to get together and just, call them up, see how they're doing, what we can do for them. I mean, they do a lot for our kids.
Dr. Wilson, did you have anything to add to that?
Just I would echo Bobby's sentiments.
And then I kind of alluded to this question at the last session. How are we monitoring the contact teachers have with students? Like, what is the threshold for student contact during this distance learning period? Is there a threshold, or were there guidelines given to teachers?
I'm not, Pam, can you explain what you mean by threshold? Are you saying like a minimum amount of contact or a maximum?
Right. Is there a minimum set to have face-to-face conversations, meetings with students, or I'm just trying to understand what the expectations of the teachers are, because we're as parents, sometimes I'm hearing that, you know, we're sitting at home and wondering, are they getting enough contact? Are they not getting enough contact? What is the, I mean, this is all new for everybody, so what should we be expecting?
I can speak for the elementary and say that we haven't set a minimum or a maximum amount of contact. However, every daily students are monitored for their engagement. So they are logging into Schoology, or they're logging into Seesaw, which is the platform we use for the pre-K through third mostly. Schoology is the 4 through 6. So teachers are monitoring engagement by students that way. They're not requiring students to meet for Zoom meetings or Hangouts, but have it open and available to them. For sure, for 5 and 6, there's some happening in 3 and 4 as well. The younger you go, the more difficult it becomes, because our students pre-K through 3 do not have one-to-one devices provided by the school, so we can't guarantee, you know, that face-to-face ability. And I'll let Jen talk about 7-12.
So we also indicated the students and the families that needed more compatibility with devices. And so John Yaki and Dan Lemke were able to secure some hotspots. So we did get those into the hands of families that needed connectivity or just needed an increased amount of connectivity because they were only using a hotspot, or excuse me, their cell phone as a hotspot. From there, we have students that learn better on paper. So they receive their paper materials, and that makes it a little bit more challenging to have interactions with staff. But still, if they have paper copies, they still have interaction opportunities with staff. At 7th and 8th grade, their daily Zoom, Google Hangout, those sorts of things happening throughout the building or throughout the building staff. At the high school, it varies a little bit more. Some teachers are doing a backward design where they record themselves teaching and then post it. And then they're available for questions and further dialogue with their students. So their teaching happens in a video, and then they clarify as they go with students and in those meetings, a lot of times it's more one-on-one meetings. There's also planner boards that are being put up by counselors and student success coordinator, Ms. Landrew. And then we have staff checking in with students when they don't hear from them after a day or two, or if work isn't turned in. Both at Morristown and at the high school, we have an attendance bank that's recorded. Student or staff can put in for attendance concerns, and then our counselors and Ms. Landrew are monitoring that. And so we are able to really understand our students if they're wandering away from turning in work or logging in.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll probably just follow up with you independently about what I've seen. Any other questions? Okay. Looks like we're moving on to the bidding of the FFA land. They're due May 8th, the bids are. It's just for information to be aware of. Did you have anything to add, Joel?
Just that I spoke to Tyson Cooley, our ag instructor, and talked to him. You know, we had talked previously about maybe selling it, but he felt there might be need in the very near future for students to utilize it. So he wanted to hang on to it for a little while before we let it go. So we keep that as an opportunity.
I think it'd be awesome if they could utilize that for classroom instruction. That would be so awesome. Jeff, have you had to go out and move any field markers or anything?
No,
Okay,
not this year. Everything's pretty much on course.
okay, good. Financial considerations for 2021.
So this is the same information we've had, basically about the last month and a half. It did update it. One of the pieces that was on there were number of days unreserved for fund balance. The scenarios haven't changed. I think one of the pieces that we have talked about that has maybe changed more so in the last month and a half is the unknown of the future for funding of school districts. We do know our funding stream is set for this upcoming school year, the 2020-21. Afterwards, I don't know where that's going to be. I don't know. I've been around long enough. I remember back in the day that we had the federal stimulus money that came in too during the last big downturn. I don't know if that's in the works. To read out 2 years from now is difficult. But what you have in front of you and what we've shared in the past is kind of our best guess effort at this point. Always subject to change, but at least it serves as a guideline for you.
So you're not providing anything new. Was there a worksheet or some other sheet that we were supposed to?
Jennifer said she shared the worksheet that was updated with the fund balance days on it.
Was that email?
It was a PowerPoint. It's the same information we've had in the past. There's just one more line added in the far right column with days of operating fund balance.
So the PowerPoint that was sent and shared with you at the last board meeting, and then we worked off of it for the work session. So that was shared with you. It's the same document. It just has an update with the days on it on the slides, but I did also share it just before this meeting started too, for those of you that didn't have it readily in front of you.
Did anybody get it?
I got it, but I couldn't open it. But I couldn't get on the Google Docs. It's fine.
Okay, well, I didn't see it, but maybe it's just me.
I think John just shared it with the whole group on the screen. Yankee, did you do that?
Yeah, I can share it. I think if you can all see it, I'm not exactly what slide you're necessarily, Miss Dr. Wilson, you want me to share?
Yeah, you can see the stuff, but it doesn't help much when it's just in front of you for a few seconds here.
So what was changed?
The only piece that was changed was, I think at the last, or at our work session, you asked that if we could take a look and convert our ending fund balance, which is on the screen in front of you, that $1,665,000 at the end of the 1920 school year. How many days, we have our board policy 45 to 60, and how did that turn out when it was converted into days?
Okay, so I can see, okay, so okay. It's not another column on the spreadsheet, it's a graphic on the side. Okay, my Zoom meeting thing is covering out the graphic on the side, so.
You may have to move where the faces are, where the camera projections are. You may have to grab and drag over. It might be on top of where the fund balance days adjustments are.
Yeah, it doesn't want to drag over either.
Well, what are the days? Can someone just say it?
Okay. So basically our fund day balance, a threshold is 60
Okay,
days.
so let's assume we're going chronological order here, starting with the sheet that if we don't do any adjustments for next year. At the end of the 2021 school year, we'll have 46 days fund balance. At the end of the 21-22 school year, we'll have 24 days. And at the end of the 22-23, we're -3. And then with the 40,000 with the same order, the end of next year would be 48 days. End of 21-22 would be 27 days. And at the end of 22-23, we would have 1 day. If we look at, sorry, go.
What was 1920?
With 1920, the base year is 63.
Thank you.
So if we look at $115,000 in adjustments, at the end of 2021, there's 51 days. At the end of 21-22, there are 33 days. And at the end of 22-23, there are 9 days. And if we look at the $200,000 in adjustments, at the end of 2021 school year, approximately 55 days. 21-22, you would have 40 days. And then 22-23 is 19, and that's a screen that's currently in front of you.
And aren't we by law supposed to maintain 45 or something?
Not by law, that's just your board policy. You're subject to change. By law, you can't have, I believe it's 3%. You can't be in the hole more than 3% of your operating expenses. Otherwise, you go into what's called statutory operating debt.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, that faded out on me. So is it 60 days is our board policy or 45 days?
Our board policy is to orientate our budget between 45 to 60 days.
Okay. Suddenly I lost my gallery view. I don't know if it's at because the document is, there we go. Thank you. Okay. So now I see the days. Thank you for adding those.
I think right now, because it really doesn't take any board action, there's nothing formal because, all the positions just stay intact. It's more of a managerial right of assignment. I think what we need to know is what level do you want to go to, if whatever level that would happen to be.
In my opinion, it'd be nice to shoot for that 45-day level for the next 2 years. And I know none of these get that, so maybe we need to figure something else out. Looks like the 200,000 is 55 and then 40.
And I would say this, projecting 2 years out as I started originally is difficult to do. If it looks like at a year from now at this point or sooner where we begin the discussion, we could make some adjustments at that point to get to that 45 days, because please don't hold my feet to the fire on those 40 days 2 years from now. That's just my best guess at this point.
Yeah, we still have to get the negotiations and teachers' contracts signed before we can really have any sort of idea what's going on. So that's a major thing, and hopefully we can get something done.
And I think right now it's important for us, we're having this conversation where we can make some adjustments internally to save some finances. I look at our neighboring districts. I hear Mankato's kind of making reductions of staff members. We had the same thing occurring in Faribault. I've always tried to do our best so we didn't have to get into that situation by taking advantage of these kinds of opportunities when they present themselves. So I felt it was my duty to at least share that information with you.
So we're moving in the direction of the $200,000 adjustment. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, are we looking at the $200,000 as where we're thinking we're going to go for making changes for 2021 and then adapt from there?
Well, I'd think a 200,000, yes, at the minimum.
I think when you look at this document, one thing you should consider is, we're not crying the sky's falling because we do have some money. But as I keep repeating myself, this is just a great opportunity to provide some ways to take some adjustments so we now don't have the sky is falling on us because we didn't do anything a couple of years down the line. There are just so many unknowns. So that's just my piece.
And so just to clarify, for my understanding, currently we have 4.5 FTEs of Phi-Ed, and our plan is to have the same 4.5 FTEs of Phi-Ed for next year.
I think Bobby said something, but we didn't hear it.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I thought you heard me. Yes, provided, there's not a great shift in class sizes and suddenly we don't need that much, but that's not changing.
So Joel, do you have your direction that you need, or we can't vote on anything. Do other people want to speak up? I'm for the 200,000.
I just think we just need to get the wheels put into motion. The school year's winding down. We just wanted the direction. And if that's board consensus, we can certainly go that way and get it going.
I guess for me, I just want to make a note of the desire to really strive to improve the communication and collaboration with faculty and staff members. I am okay also with up to 200,000, but I really think that we need to establish a finance committee going forward, and there needs to be 2 board members, I believe, so we can take a look at the big picture beyond faculty and teachers and what's impacting students. That would include looking at our food service, our transportation, our custodial, utilities, and so forth. I just hope that we continue to offer, sorry, I prepared a speech. I hope we continue to offer channels of communication, surveys with all levels of staff, asking for their ideas, their input. It doesn't just happen over a weekend. It's an ongoing process to collaborate with them, asking them how they can do their jobs more efficiently and effectively. And it's also important to get input from our district residents and try to be entrepreneurial and maintain and grow enrollment and build relationships with our city and local municipalities. So I'm okay with the 200,000. I just hope that the next time we're talking about this, I feel like it was more collaborative and there was more communication.
I think the last time we talked about it, we also decided that we should really get the teachers' contracts taken care of before we made any decision. So for me, I don't think we should do anything till that is settled. I think it'd be stupid to do it right now.
I don't think we can wait. We have to move forward with changes. Some of these
Can we wait, Joel?
My advice would be not to. We need to get these things out. We need to get letters of assignments rolling to teachers. We need to get them start focusing on, I talked about it earlier, what the 2021 school year is going to look like. And that includes, if they have some changes in curriculum that they need to address.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we need to move forward with it.
I feel really confident that we're going to come to I'm looking forward to meetings with the teachers in the coming week, and I feel we can get things resolved.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your patience. Okay. All right. So our next item up is the base bid 17 for Basso for Waterville from Brazini Brothers and Company for $189,900. I know that was something I believe Ari Morton had to clarify when bids were opened.
That was correct. We wanted to get some clarification before they recommended that the board approve them.
Was anything changed, Joel?
Yes, significantly. The bid that came in from Grassini Brothers for the terrazzo work, I think was closer to like 400 and some $1,000. And it raised a red flag that they shouldn't have made that expensive. So they did come in and meet and get it worked down to that 189. And as far as the signage is concerned, it was more so to making sure that we adhered to state guidelines, making sure that we were in compliance.
So are we going to approve those together then? The building contract, base bid 17 for terrazzo from Grazzini Brothers and Company, 189,900, and the base bid for signage at 16,350 from North Star Signs and Engraving.
So,
I think,
Oh, go ahead, Joel.
yeah, I think that'd be appropriate. You know, when we approved them previously, we had them all grouped in, and I think there were 20 some companies we approved at that time.
Okay.
so moved on all of them.
Second.
Okay, Dan Houlihan made the motion and Gary Michaels seconded to approve the contracts for terrazzo and signage as presented and clarified by R.A. Morton. This will be a roll call vote. Or excuse me, any discussion, any further discussion?
Was the scope of the work changed? That the bid came down to 189,000?
Oh, I think it did not change. It's the same process that needed to be done to bring the terrazzo up to where it needs to be for our purposes. So no, in your answer to your question, Jeff, no, there wasn't a change in the scope of work.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote then. Travis,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Gary,
Yes.
Jay, oh, you're nodding, you're not, sorry. Jeff,
Yes.
John,
yes,
and myself, yes. So by roll call vote, the base bids have been approved, 7-0. Okay, the next up is approval of the proposal for commissioning services from Hallberg Engineering for 80,000. You have something to share about that, Joel? Or there were 3 documents as part of board books. One was from Hallberg, one was IEA, and one was KFI.
Those were just the proposals that were put forward. The low bid was from Hallberg, and that's why it's on there for approval.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the bid from Hallberg Engineering?
So
Also
moved.
moved.
Okay. Travis made the motion. Do you want to second it, Jeff?
Sure.
Okay, Travis Bowman made the motion and Jeff Stangler seconded to approve the proposal for commissioning services from Hallberg Engineering for 80,000. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call again. Travis,
Yes.
Dan,
yes,
Gary,
Yes.
Jay,
yes,
Jeff,
Yes.
John,
yes,
myself, yes. So that's 7-0 via roll call vote. The next item is to approve the proposal from American Testing and Engineering for special inspections and construction testing for $12,346.50. I seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Aaron and Jeff Stangler seconded to approve the proposal from American Testing and Engineering. Is there any discussion or explanation or?
Yeah,
This
what's
is-
the scope of the testing?
It's just to make sure the footings and foundations are stable going forward with the build on. We've got the wetlands over there, and they want to make sure everything's up to grade and it's suitable to build on, and they look at it outside for them to do that before they let them begin.
Yes, okay.
So what happens if it's not? Do they have to?
They'll have to bring it up to acceptable level before they can build upon it.
They'd have to do a soil correction, Pam.
That's kind of what I assumed, but I think that's in the budget to have to do that, I believe.
Yes, I believe there was, because of the scope of the work, I think they put $200,000 set aside as an unknown.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so Gary Michael made the motion, or we'll do a roll call vote for the approval of the proposal from the American Testing and Engineering. We'll have Travis,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes,
John,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion carries 7-0, roll call vote. Okay, moving along, approve MAVO, I don't know if I'm saying that right, MAVO Systems for asbestos removal in Morristown for $77,500 and Envirobate in for asbestos removal in Waterville for $132,800.
I'll move.
Okay, so I didn't know if Dan was first, but I'll say Jeff made the motion and Dan seconded it. Because I can't hear you, Dan, but
Yeah, second is fine.
okay.
Except when it comes to Gary.
Okay, so Jeff Stangler made the motion and Dan Houlihan seconded to approve the asbestos removal in both Morristown and Waterville. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in, oh, sorry. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Thank you. Gary?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes,
John?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Roll call vote, 7 yes, motion carries. All right, audit engagement. How exciting. Gotta love auditors. So there was an audit engagement proposal. It was a 3-year proposal submitted by Abdo Eichen Myers for 2020, 2021, and 2022. We've used them for, I believe, around 4 years already. Two? Oh, 3, okay. I seek a motion
So
to
moved.
accept that.
Second.
Gary Michael made the motion, Jay Schneider seconded it to approve the 3-year engagement with Abdo Eichen Myers. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call vote then. Travis,
Yep. Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Jeff,
yes,
John,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So by roll call vote, approved 7-0. All right, something exciting to talk about. Approving the revised band and choir trip for November 18th to 23rd, 2020. I seek a motion.
I'll move.
Second.
Second.
I'll second. All of us are seconding it. Jay Schneider made the motion and Gary Michael seconded to approve the revised band and choir trip dates for November 18th to 23rd, 2020. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, what's changed? I mean, as far as the trip goes, anything? Destination?
To my knowledge, no, it's all the same trip. They wanted to, we can move forward with some of the credits on these pieces, and they wanted board approval before they would transfer to these dates to hold it for us. That's why it's on the agenda so early.
And then plans are being worked out to credit some of the seniors who are graduating who won't be able to participate.
Yes, I believe Margaret's working with them on that, and the band and choir instructors and the parents.
Yep, I think the first step is to try to find freshmen who would be willing to go to take some of those places, potentially parents who want to go and pay the price that the students were paying. So try to get as much refunded back to those seniors as we can.
And ideally, if they had a sibling, they could transfer that money, I suppose. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Too bad for the senior. I really do feel for them. But, any other discussion? Okay, this will be a roll call vote as well. So Travis,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So roll call vote 7-0, approval of the band trip for November 18th to 23rd in 2020. All right, let's hope we don't have to reschedule it. Thanks for all your hard work on that, Jeff. I'm sure you were involved, and Margaret, thank you. And the administrators, Dr. Wilson, I know that it's not easy to deal with all these influxes. So thank you for working with those instructors and putting together an experience for these students. All right, moving on to personnel. Our first item is to approve a revised letter of request for a leave of absence for Stephanie Houlihan. Congratulations, Stephanie, by the way. I'll second to approve that letter of request. So Gary Michael made the motion and Pam Baker seconded to approve the letter of request from Stephanie Houlihan. Is there any discussion?
What's the name?
Kenzie.
Kenzie?
Kenzie Catherine.
Beautiful.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. I think I heard her crying earlier before we got started for the meeting. That was really special. So, so congratulations to all those involved who might be listening. That's really awesome. Any other discussion? All right, roll call vote. Travis?
Congratulations and yes.
Dan?
I'll abstain.
Gary?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Jeff? Jeff Stangler?
Yes.
John Velishek?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So 6 yes, 1 abstain by roll call vote. So letter of request has been approved. All right, the next item up for this personnel was to approve the non-renewal of Yvette Randall, a probationary ECFE teacher. I'm seeking a motion.
So move.
Second.
Gary Michael made the motion and Travis Bowman seconded to approve the non-renewal of Yvette Randall. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Travis B. Travis?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion carries 7-0 by roll call vote. Okay,
So move.
our upcoming meetings. Okay, so Jay Schneider made the motion and Dan Houlihan seconded to adjourn the meeting. Time now is 7:58. We have roll call vote. Travis?
Yes.
Dan?
Yeah.
Gary?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
John?
Yep.
And myself, yes, by roll call vote, 7 yes, motion carries. Our upcoming meetings, we have a really short gap here in the upcoming. We have a study session May 14th at 6 o'clock. Hopefully it's going to be face-to-face back in the boardroom. And May 18th would be our regular meeting. That's basically 4 days apart. So it would be nice if we could get some graduation information just as soon as you come up with it, just email to board members in case we need to be, if there's some sort of presence or speech or whatnot that needs to be included. So we'd appreciate that.
Or if you need any help or support.
I just want to echo, we really appreciate all you're doing there. You're juggling a lot of balls right now. Everybody is doing that within the district. I want to applaud the parents who are hanging in there with their students, who are the teachers who are teaching and trying to deal with their families and teach as well. And then everybody at the school who's helping with those meals, with moving, construction, there's a lot going on. But the construction makes everything pretty exciting for our district. So thanks everyone, appreciate you all.
Good job, Pam.
Good night.